Things were going so well for the Dubs. Then this. Steph Curry came down hard on his back late in the third of yesterday's win over the Raptors. He stayed on the floor in pain after colliding with two players in the paint. He eventually left under his own power to the locker room where he was ruled out with a pelvic contusion. Steve Kerr gave us an update on Steph's condition post-game.
Getting an MRI right now. I just kind of fell pelvic, tailbone area. So he was trying to come back. He thought he might be able to come back, and we just decided not to risk anything. And so hopefully it's not bad, but he's getting imaging right now.
He hit that ground hard. You can hear it. It's crazy. Obviously a very scary moment for us, for him. Hopefully he's good.
Scary for sure. Monica, 2 days in a row. Who's better than me? How are we feeling, girl?
I'm good. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. All right, what would happen if the Warriors needed to rest Steph Curry?
Actually, their schedule, Molly, is a little bit favorable. S.A., good morning. I don't think it's the end of the world. The thing we have not really discussed about the Warriors' ascent is how good they've been on defense with the addition of Jimmy Butler. And perhaps it has been discussed by some. But as you look ahead at their schedule, the next, four games on the road? I think they should be all right. The Heat obviously have been in the depths of despair since Jimmy left. That's obviously going to be emotional. The Pelicans, Spurs, all teams that are looking ahead to next season. Hawks could be a little interesting, but I'm not too concerned about that. And so if he needed to rest, I'm okay. This is a team that in the last 15 games, they have the best defensive rating in the league. They're averaging like 10 steals a game. And Jimmy Butler, as we know, is someone who is accustomed to putting a team on his shoulders should he need to. I don't think that they can withstand too many more injuries, so knock on wood and hope everybody stays well, but I'm not too concerned about this. The tricky thing is looking at those standings and trying to hold their position. But I think they should be okay for the next four.
They should be okay. They should win at least 3 of them. But the flip side to that, Eminem, is that they have to be concerned because they're 2 games behind the Grizzlies, but they're 1.5 games ahead of the Clippers. Now, why does that matter? If you look at the Golden State Warriors record this season, they're 0-3 against the Clippers. They're 0-3 against the Lakers. They're 0-2 against the Rockets. And so when you think about seedings, it matters because those are teams they haven't necessarily had success against. They've got winning records against, ironically, against the Thunder and the Rockets, the top 2 seeds in the Western Conference, but they've struggled against the others. So you have to take that into consideration because the likelihood is that you're going to face one of the others before you face the one of the 2 seed. And that's what I'm looking at right now in terms of their positioning. Steph Curry being out. Jimmy Butler said it best. We're not going to be able to turn the ball over. We can't commit a bunch of fouls because the guy that can erase all of our problems would be out. So it definitely puts an inordinate amount of pressure on them. He can handle it. Draymond can handle it. Can Kuminga handle it? Can Podziemski handle it? Can Moody handle it? Etc. That's going to be the question mark. It can be very, very interesting to say the least, no doubt. We'll see what happens.
All right. We'll leave that there and transition to women's hoops, where we've got our star Andrea Carter standing by. She knows a little something about the tourney.
Is not really bad news. Now, the Warriors beat the Raptors last night, but the story was that fall. Steph Curry going down hard in the third quarter. He was ruled out with a pelvic contusion. Got an MRI last night. We are waiting for the results. Again, it was a scary-looking play. You see it one more time. Here was Draymond Green after the game.
He hit that ground hard. You can hear it. It's crazy. Obviously a very scary moment for us, for him. Hopefully he's good.
I think he speaks for everybody. Now, for what it's worth, and clearly there are so many reasons that you want Steph back as quickly as possible, but for what it's worth, since they got Jimmy Butler, they've been much better without Steph. They're plus 60 in the 300 minutes that Curry's been off the floor. The point is that before they got Jimmy Butler, they were minus 90 when Steph was off the floor, which suggests, Monica, that they are less Steph reliant. It certainly doesn't mean that they can do anything of consequence without him. So let's live in a world where we hope that he is going to be just fine. I think that ultimately, I think the key here is they're battling like crazy to stay out of that play-in, and this obviously won't help that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you point out the way that they've been able to be successful in the minutes without Steph. But Steph and Jimmy Butler are intricately connected in terms of how they've been able to buoy this Warriors squad. One plays on the perimeter, the other plays in the paint, it gets to the free throw line, and the two of them work together. So yes, hopefully this is not a long-term thing. But I guess the thing for me, Greeny, becomes, well, who do they have to go play next? Because Jimmy Butler, we know, he did it for years in Miami, is accustomed to being the centerpiece and carrying it. Now, it's obviously been refreshing that he has not had to do that. But can he hold this team in its position as they battle this? I think they're getting ready to go on a 6-game road trip.
Yeah, they've got, do we have the schedule here, guys, by any chance? Because we showed it earlier this morning, and we'll have it for you in a moment, I'm being told. They generally speaking, yes, they're going on the road. They are playing teams they should beat, or certainly could beat.
Correct. And I think it's important to note, as much as we were talking about this and we think of the offense, in the last 15 games.
Here it is, at Atlanta, sub 500. At Miami, really struggling. The Pelicans, goes without saying. The Spurs, I know they won a game the other day. So that's 4 games right there, boom, 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 that I think that they have a chance to win, right?
I would agree with you, and Bobby probably knows this, but in their last 15 games, they have the best defensive rating in the league, and they are averaging 10 steals per game. And so they've come on both sides of the floor. So when you see some of those teams ahead of them, Bobby, you're not exactly worried.
No, that's the point. So, Bob, earlier in this program, for those of you, many people join us off the top of the hour, Bobby was talking about how he could see literally any team winding up in the conference final with OKC in the West, depending on how the brackets fall. How do you feel about the Warriors? Let's live in a world where Steph winds up being okay, because we certainly hope that he is. If he's seriously hurt, then that changes the dynamics of literally everything. But in a world where he's back and playing, at his best when we get to the playoffs, what is the Warriors' ceiling with him and Butler?
I think they can get to a Western Conference Finals, but they got to stay out of that 4-5 range, right? If you're at 6, you have a chance. But if you move up to 4-5, it's actually like you'd rather just kind of freeze where the standings are right now. I do think they have a legitimate chance here just because how Jimmy Butler has played. He has elevated everyone else on this roster. And as Monica said, yeah, they've got a defensive identity as far as with this group. They're 7-3 in games where Curry doesn't play. So they show that they can win games when he's not on the roster, when he's not playing. But just looking at last night, Greeny, Draymond Green, if Draymond Green shoots the ball like he did last night, and he took 14 threes and he made 5, that gives him such a different dynamic as far as where their roster is. He was 1 of 11 from 3 for the previous 3 games. So is it fool's gold? I don't know, but I think that's certainly something to watch.
All right, we'll obviously keep an eye and an ear on Northern California. If we get any news whatsoever on Steph Curry, obviously we'll pass it along immediately. In the meantime, from the and Bobby Marks. Monica, I'll start with you.
Here we go.
Would you believe that Jimmy Butler can keep the Warriors out of the play-in if Steph has to miss some time after going down hard on his back last night?
Well, Greeny, we've gone through the Warriors' schedule a little bit this morning as we've discussed this. Jimmy Butler, hey, accustomed to carrying a team. I'm going to go, yes, I would believe this one. In particular, their next 4 games, they should be all right.
They feel winnable. They've got a game-and-a-half cushion right now out of the play-in. Bob?
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Thì hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn câu tượng nhé. Tượng hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là màu tím. Các bạn hôm nay tượng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là màu cam. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu tô nhé. Việt Nam 1 đều rồi, Thành đưa tiền đây để mua kẹo.
Là sót cả ruột đây 1 điều.